It's a lovely
Good
good
evening.
evening.
This is Ubuntu channel, and we are having a special interview tonight with the police spokesperson, Rae Hamoonga. And to actually host him is myself, Chaza, and Lance Sani Banda. Lance, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Chaza. Thank you so much. Good
Your
evening
mic
to
is on
our.
mute.
Are you able to get me?
Lance, I can't hear you. Kindly check your mic, please.
Okay. Are you able to get me now?
It appears I still cannot hear you. I'll try to switch to, Rae Hamoonga. Rae, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening. I'm able to hear Lance. I don't know if you are
I don't
getting me
know
as
if
well.
it's my gadget or something. I
Yes, it
can't
should
hear.
be you. It should be you. It's you.
I can hear you now. Good evening, Rae.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing pretty fine. It's been some time. It's good to have you on the program once more.
Thank you.
I get back to you, Lance. Good evening, and pardon me for the connectivity problem there.
Good evening, Chaza. Thank you so much. We live in the world of technology, so hiccups are here and there. And good evening, Mr. Hamoonga, as well as good evening to our viewers. Looking forward to a very informative deliberation on the program today.
Beautiful. I'll take it back to you, Lance. What are we discussing tonight?
All right. Thank you so much, Chaza. So this evening on this special program, we are discussing obviously corruption in the police service, or corrupt officers, and the increasing rate of crimes in the community. This is what we are looking at, and this is a continuation of the special program that we had last week, which was cut due to unstable network which we had, and we look forward to being able to complete it today and be able to exhaust what we have prepared, as well as what the viewers have prepared as well for our guest this evening. And just an emphasis to our viewers, remember that you will be asked to come in to ask a question, share a view, express a comment, as well as also have a one-on-one interaction with our studio guest, who is Zambia Police Service spokesperson, Mr. Rae Hamoonga, or should I say Commissioner Rae Hamoonga. So you'll be asked to come in either via leaving a comment, as well as coming through into the studio, and we'll be glad to have you like that, Chaza. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hamoonga. I think I'll actually, like to hear from you. According to the topic that we have, tonight, crime and, corruption. Is corruption really an issue, in this country? And is corruption an issue amongst men in uniform?
Thank you very much. It's important that we discuss some of these issues that affect our day-to-day life as we interact with members of the public. Now, you may be aware that the police interact with members of the public on a daily, hourly basis. So when you want to talk about issues relating to corruption, you find that most of the time the police is mentioned time and again, for the simple reason that officers interact on a daily basis with members of the public because of the nature of work that we do. Our work entails that we maintain law and order throughout the republic, and you know that anybody, even people that are in the defense forces, they still come to the police for service. And as such, that actually has put us in the limelight. And whenever somebody wants to discuss issues relating, or even want to maybe to look at the index of corruption, you find that most of the time the police are always coming out to be mentioned. So yes, corruption does exist, But however, it does not exist as some people want to portray it, because we have also argued to put up arguments as regards into these indexes of corruption. Because if you are going to measure Zambia police with an institution which has a strength of about maybe 600 or 800 personnel against the 20,000 plus police officers, definitely, if you remember very well your mathematics, if you are issues of probability, if we are going to put 20 balls in a container and then the other container will put 10 balls, and you dip your hand in there, the probability of you getting more balls in the container with 20 balls and the which one has got 10 balls is that you're going to get more balls from this side. So yes, corruption does exist, but however, I don't think it is at the level that people are portraying it.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I don't know. I think Chaza seems to be having some connectivity issues there. But as we are discussing this issue, Mr. Hamoonga, let me quickly get to bring you to this question. What are some of the factors that influence police corruption? As much as, yes, sometimes the police are not corrupt and they are just mentioned because they are the law enforcers when it comes to the wrongdoers. But what are some of these factors that influence police corruption, an officer to be corrupt?
Okay, like it has been put or said that it takes two to tango. Now, you have situations where a police officer is on duty and then a member of the public maybe has been arrested, especially we have had challenges as regards to the traffic or traffic officers. You are aware that most of the offenses under the Traffic Act are offenses where you are supposed to pay a fine as opposed to a custodial sentence. Okay, so you find that in such situations, you find that maybe an officer wants to make this person pay for the fine, and then there's some negotiation that goes on where a member of the public would prefer not to pay the actual prescribed fine and rather decide to bribe the officer. Let me give an example. For instance, maybe like speed trap. The fine for overspeeding is 300 kwacha, okay, which is about roughly about $20 now. So if you, as a member of the public, you have been apprehended, you decide to say, well, instead of me paying the 300 kwacha, you go into a negotiation with an officer, and then you pay 100 kwacha, and then you go, and then tomorrow you stand on the rooftop and say traffic officers are corrupt. Now, in that scenario, actually, what actually happens is that the same person that actually has paid the 100 kwacha to the police officer, he too or she too has committed an offense. But of course, it is expected that an officer should deny a bribe from a member of the public. In fact, he should actually arrest such a member of the public who tries to corrupt him.
All right. Still speaking on the same thing or on the same issue, especially the one that you have raised of traffic police officers, that department, yes, it has always been in the public, being said the most corrupt because of these traffic offenses or these traffic deals that they get to finish with traffic offenses. Now, looking at that, and that is one of the things that leads to police officer corruption. Just after the accident at the University of Zambia, which we saw the loss of 11 lives, the Minister of Transport and Logistics, Honorable Frank Tayali, mentioned that roadblocks need to be brought back in the country. And of course, roadblocks, as we know, these roadblocks have been perceived as a conduit for bribery and corruption. You as a police service and as a command, how will you ensure that these vices do not preeminate, or they do not even come about, and maybe the intended measure of how to curb this issue of maybe a police officer and this traffic offender get to crack up that deal? How will the command deal with that?
Okay, of course, this time of, let me first also state that I think the Minister of Transport and Communication did mention that there was need, because he was actually speaking in my face when he was talking that, giving that statement. There was need to engage his counterpart, who happens to be our own Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, on the need of seeing how best police presence can be enhanced on the road. I know people have picked to say the Minister of Transport and Communication has said that roadblocks need to be brought back. I think he did mention that there's need to engage the Minister of Home Affairs so that they see how best police presence can be enhanced on the road. Now, that being said, for us as police, of course, we wait for directives from the Minister of Home Affairs, who is our own minister, to give direction. Of course, when he did issue that directive, there were reasons behind that. I don't think he could just have he did that with them just out of arbitration, or arbitrary. So going forward, I think what we should look forward for us as police, what we are waiting for is for a directive, how we are going to look at the problem that we're having now. Of course, people have argued, say, well, maybe because of this and that, but actually, when you look at the causes that we have had now, because of the two accidents, both of them, they are very clear that they were caused due to human error. Meaning, in short, even if a police officer is there, that accident could have still happened. Let me be very practical. I can confidently explain to you the accident that happened at Unza, how it all happened, because we have footage. You are aware that we do have a safe city project where cameras were mounted throughout the republic, not necessarily through Copper Belt, Southern Province, and Lusaka, where we have these cameras. So, like in this point, the question of the accident which happened at Unza, we do have footage for that accident. This driver was coming from the eastern direction, going into town. And if you understand, if I don't know if you people you drive, but those who drive will understand what I'm trying to explain here. This driver was in the outer lane. Sorry, outer lane. You know, Yunza has got 3 lanes there going to town, and then 3 lanes coming, going the direction of Charleston. Now he was in the outer lane. Now you can imagine how he veered from the outer lane, middle lane, innermost lane, or innermost lane, and then going across in the opposite direction. So you understand that. So even if you have a police presence there, yes, we might need police presence on the road to deter offenders. But in this particular accident, even if a policeman was there or police were there, the accident could have still have happened. Because how does a driver decide to switch lanes, 3 lanes from this end up to the 4th lane in the opposite direction? So this is what happened on Saturday, unfortunately. So yes, of course, we might need police presence, but some of these accidents that we're having, they are not necessarily because there's no police presence, because they are causations. Human error is because you, as a human being, you decide just to misbehave. You are driving a motor vehicle, you decide to drive the vehicle in an opposite direction, and what still, there's a truck coming in that opposite direction. And that's how that accident happened.
Commissioner Hamoonga, the question that I really want you to attend to is, suffice the Minister of Transport together with Home Affairs Minister agree that police officers should come back on the road. How will the police service or command look into it that the corruption which already the traffic section has been reported off will not happen? Because obviously before the doing away of these or the doing away of these checkpoints or these roadblocks, we had seen rampant bribes happening. So how will the command this time around, if those roadblocks are brought back, deal with the issue of bribery to make sure that the police officers found that either that roadblock or those that do speed trap are not bribed or engaged into corruption?
Okay, thank you. I think the assumption that these traffic snap checkpoints were done away solemnly because of corruption, I think it's not the right perception. The reason, one of the reasons that, among the main reasons that these snap checkpoints were done away was because of the fact that they were causing unnecessary congestion. Okay, and of course we like saying roadblocks and whatever, but the actual directive, if you look at it, talks about snap checkpoints, meaning in the central business district area. So the minister's directive was that we need to remove these officers that are having these snap checkpoints because they are causing unnecessary congestion. That was one of the reasons. Of course, the issue of corruption, they have always been there and they've been coming up here and there. But what command did actually to try and mitigate this factor is that, when you are supposed to pay a traffic fine, you do not pay to a traffic police officer. You get a charge sheet and then you are given a bank code to go and deposit in the bank account, what you call direct deposit. Okay. In some instances, we've even had points of sale machines like the way you can come and swipe. In some places, we do have such areas. So the issue as to deal with issues of corruption, that what we did was we introduced a direct deposit system where you do not actually pay the actual cash to the officer. So once you are given when you're supposed to pay a fine, they'll give you a charge sheet, give you 7 days in which to pay. If you don't pay, the matter is processed and taken to court. So the issue of corruption, the money aspect or the payment system, previously we used to have a receipt book. An officer would sit, you come there, you pay, and the receipt is issued there and then. But now we have done away with that. We are encouraging that offenders go and deposit the money themselves in the bank as opposed to giving the money to the officers, so that that cash aspect of officers handling cash is done away.
Mr. Rae, I think just on the same issue, I think I don't know your take on the fines themselves, like the example that you gave, that the fine that one is supposed to pay for a traffic offense, let's say is 300 kwacha, and has entered into a negotiation with the police officer to pay only 100 kwacha. Do you think these fines are too high, and as a result they are the ones that are encouraging this type of corruption?
Well, as regards to the fines, you are aware that our role as police officers is to enforce the law, and we are not privileged to be enactors of the laws. So what we do as police is to ensure that whatever the Zambian people have decided as regards to what fines somebody is supposed to pay, we ensure that we enforce what has been given to us. So unfortunately, we are not privileged to debate issues relating to the fine, whether it's within the is it affordable or is too much. We do not have that privilege. So once the law has been enacted, ours is to enforce it. We are an enforcement agency, and whatever you give us as police, our job is to ensure that whatever has been given to us as the law is followed to the letter. So unfortunately, in as much as we would want to be part and parcel of that, we are not able to do that. So the police is there basically to enforce laws that the Zambian people feel are supposed to be enforced.
Thank you so much. And we have quite a number of questions in our message box. I'll read one of them, which says, let's look at incidents of your officers turning firearms on themselves after shooting at others. How are you dealing with such cases internally? And to And to what do you attribute this development? I think I will allow you to react to that one.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. These are issues that actually we are very concerned as a police command. Uh, Issues of officers turning the firearms on themselves and even at times on others are a bit worrying, because first of all, if an officer turns his firearm against himself, though it's very regrettable, but at least that mitigates the problem of, as opposed to having an officer shooting at an innocent person. Because you may be aware that suicide is not an offense, it's an incident. So if somebody kills himself or herself, there is no case there. Now, the issues of relating to our officers doing, or shooting at themselves or shooting at others, we have a department that is called the chaplains unit. You know, us as police officers, we're also human beings like another human being, and we do have feelings. So our chaplains unit, the chaplains unit is actually maybe we're going to call it like a pastor or a priest. So we have officers that actually their role is to offer spiritual guidance to us, all officers in the service. And I'm sure you have seen, you have chaplains even other defense wings as well. So this is the unit that actually looks into the affairs of our officers in terms of counseling, and as well as offering spiritual guidance to our officers. So if an officer has a problem, these people can sit down with him and offer the necessary guidance that is required to of them. And also, you are aware of the victim support unit, where even members of the public, even you as a member of the public, you quarrel with your wife, you have differences in your home, you can come to the police under our victim support unit, or popularly known as VSU. We have trained counselors there who can sit you down and offer you the guidance that is required. So, as police, of course, we're not taking this thing to chance. Maybe through this forum, we can also make an appeal to any organization or institution that offers such type of counseling, that our hands are wide open, our offices are open. They can come forward if they want to come and give talks to officers how to handle maybe if you're not feeling well, or maybe you have problems that are giving you pressure. Please, our doors are open. We can link you up to the chaplains unit, which you can work hand in hand to ensure that our officers are taken care of in terms of mental and the physical well-being, of course, even spiritual guidance.
Thank you so much. We still do have some messages right here in our inbox. And the first one actually came from Chibonta Jule. We have another one here which says the Minister of Transport and Logistics, probably this one was dealt with already. Let me look at the other part. What is the latest on mobile money agent Pamela Chisumpa's abduction? Has the case died a natural death? Probably before you take that one, let me also read up this one. Away from corruption, what are some of the challenges plunging the service? The country has seen rising cases of sodomy and homosexuality. How I don't know this word is the law enforcement these cases, and what do the statistics look like? I think probably you are able to get what this person is trying to say as regards sodomy and homosexuality. I think you may take those two.
Okay, what is the latest on the mobile money agent Pamela Chisumpa's abduction? Has the case died a natural death? No. There's no case that is going to die a natural death as long as the police service is operational. Now, as regards to the case of Pamela Chisumpa, if you are following the what has been happening just last week, the Inspector General of Police, whilst he was attending a press briefing by the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, he did actually intimate that we received the Pamela Chisumpa actually called the boyfriend requesting for monies as regards to give to the would-be allegedly abductors. So this case is very active, and like the Inspector General of Police had put it very clearly that this case we shall not rest as police until it is resolved. And we are very active on it. Of course, we did issue a statement to the effect that this case that we are investigating as regards to Pamela Super, we are not going to issue statements that, one, border on endangering the life of Pamela Super herself, two, statements that will jeopardize our investigations. You are aware that when you are investigating, you are looking for somebody, and then we may have a situation where if we say that the persons that we are looking for are in Kabwata, so it simply means that those persons that are in Kabwata will relocate now to another place, meaning again it will take us time to locate them or find them. So based on those two principles, we have been withholding information, but however, we want to assure the public that this case is still on. Like I've told you just last week, the Inspector General of Police gave an update stating that the boyfriend actually had received a phone call from Pamela Super herself requesting for monies to be given to these abductors. That is that about that question. Then the other question is, the country has seen rising cases of sodomy and homosexuality. How, I'm sure this one should be, how indebted is the law enforcement agents with these cases, and how do the statistics look like? Of course, we did receive, you did hear from the minister's statement that we had recorded 18 cases. Now, out of these 18 cases, these are not all confirmed cases of sodomy. I need to underline that. These cases, others are still under investigations. Now, people should understand that, one, sodomy is an offense or a natural offense that is committed in secrecy. And for us as police officers to prove that case, or to have a case, a watertight case to take to the courts of law, we need medical examination. It's just like it is the case of a defilement. The mere fact that you see a man and a young lady or a juvenile coming out of a home, you cannot conclusively say that this person has been defiled. Not until such a person is examined by a medical doctor who is classified as an expert witness. Once a doctor examines you, or then he certifies that this thing has actually happened, that's when we can say, yes, this child has been defiled. Yes, this person has been sodomized. Without that, it cannot stand, because there's no evidence to point or prove that offense. Okay, so like I've said, the 18 cases that have been received so far this year, out of these, others are still under active investigations, and we are yet to get the actual number of these cases from, based on the examination or certification from medical doctors that are going to certify, yes, this person was really sodomized, because there's evidence pointing to that effect.
All right. Thank you so much, Rae. I think at this point in time, I'll throw it back to my co-host to actually also ask a couple of questions before we invite the public that are viewing or following via YouTube and Facebook. Lance, you can come in with your questions.
Thank you so much, Chaza. Commissioner Hamoonga, let me take you back to corrupt officers, or to corruption in the police service. I would like you to be as frank as possible as you can be to the Zambian people concerning this issue. Like, what are the types of corruption that could be found in the police service? Let's talk about this.
Well, of course, like I said, that each time when this corruption index being released, what has been topping the list is our traffic department. Now, the corruption that takes place in the traffic departments is the failure by members of the public to pay for the fines that they have been charged with. Like I told you that traffic of offenses, they are offenses where you are required to pay a fine, as opposed to a custodial sentence. If you steal, if you commit a theft, we'll arrest you. Whether we like it or not, we have to arrest you because there's no provision for you to pay a fine. If you kill somebody, you'll be arrested. There's no issues of you paying a fine. So now in traffic offenses, if you are driving a motor vehicle, you bash somebody dies, it's according to our laws, you cannot be, sentenced. Or if you are going to be sentenced, you either be given a provision of paying a fine. If you fail to pay a fine, that's when you're able to be given a custodial sentence. So because of that, there's a sort of an environment where there's people want to negotiate with officers. Okay, a police officer will negotiate. The member of the park will negotiate with an officer. Say, no, let's just steal to the Zambian people, because if I'm supposed to pay 300, why can't I just give 100 kwacha and then I go? But of course, us as police officers, we take such things very seriously. If such an officer is caught, even if it comes to report, instead of the both of them will arrest one person who is our police officer, will make sure he's having arrested, so he's taken to court, and because he's supposed to be above that, he's a law enforcer. So his job on the road is not to negotiate, but to enforce the law. Okay, and this is why, as member of the public, also they need to help the nation. Because even you, if for instance, if you have been caught, you're supposed to pay a fine. Why not just pay that fine and move on? Okay, because at times you can allow somebody, if that officer, if you encourage such type of behavior, this same officer you have given money, you go. Next time, your child will be on a vehicle which is defective, the officer will get money, and then that vehicle overturns and you lose your child. So these are issues that are very serious, which we need to take very serious, even as citizens. If you are in the wrong, ensure that you abide by what you're supposed to do. In fact, when you look at this corruption issue from our...
Yes, please go ahead.
This corruption issue, it just actually shows the kind of society that we have. It simply means we have people that do not want to abide by the laws.
All right. Now, if we have some corrupt officers in the service, out of curiosity, Commissioner Hamoonga, then why should the police fight this corruption if we have corrupt officers in the service?
We should fight corruption because corruption is bad. It eats up the moral fiber of our society. Like I've given you an example. We as law enforcers are there to enforce the law. You want to have a just society. We want to have vehicles that are, if you are going to send a traffic officer on the road, we need a traffic officer who is going to ensure that all defective motor vehicles are not on the road. If you as a citizen, you have a vehicle which is okay without any defects, and then there comes a vehicle which is defective, comes to ram into you. If you have people who have no license, they want to drive on the road, and then these officers allow them to do that, unlicensed driver, they ram into your vehicle. Okay, maybe even kill you. So this is why it is very important that all of us, this is a collective effort. Even as you as a citizen, if you commit a crime, it should be in you to say, well, I've committed a fine, I'm supposed to pay a fine. You should actually be willing to pay the fine because you have committed that offense. Next time you will not be able to commit that offense. Now, if you are going to have a situation where you have officers that are corrupt, then it means even next time again you do the same thing, and then you will not be able to continue doing such wrong things. For instance, let me give an example. Having a motor vehicle certified for tested for certification or test certificate or for fitness, it's just a pottery 50 kwacha. So why should somebody want to go and bribe a police officer as opposed to going to Ratsa, pay for fitness, have a vehicle which is going to have fitness for 1 year? So you understand that some of these things just people that want to do things that are deliberately wrong. So our appeal to our members of the public is that, please, we are living in a society where we need to do things justly.
All right. Since we are talking about two things here: corrupt officers, as well as also the crime rate in Zambia, or the increase in crime rate. Let me bring you to this scenario, or to this thing. It has been observed that crime has really increased, and some officers, police officers, are involved in this crime. Like, for example, is that officer who was shot in Lilai area and was admitted to Chilenje Clinic. I'm sure you know the story. What do you think is the main reason why crime has increased, and what is the police service doing to make sure that they curb the increase of this crime, as well as police officers that are found to be part of these crime makers?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, with the advent of social media, things are being blown out of proportion. You find that at times something happens, before even you correct it, it's already gone out of hand. Okay, just like this evening, there was a mini protest by our students at University of Zambia. Social media was already awash with comments, please don't use Great East Road. The road is not safe. Even when the road was already safe, people are still sending messages that please don't use Great East Road. So because of social media, we have found out that actually things are being blown out of proportion. Now, coming to the case that you have cited, that there was an officer who was shot at. Yes, that was an officer who was shot at, but that was actually a deserter. Now, you know, a deserter is somebody in our laws in the Zambia police who have a situation where if you don't report for work for more than 21 days, thereafter you become a deserter. So it means you can be arrested, tried, and dismissed from the police service. So that officer was actually of such a kind. So he's one officer who actually were after, were looking for. Fortunately, he was shot, and then that even made our life very easier, and he was apprehended, and he was taken to court. So now you should also understand that a human being is a human being. What do I mean? A human being can decide to do otherwise. I'm sure even you in the journalism fraternity, you remember that incident where a newscaster was on news, where he was supposed to be reading news, and then what did he do? And in the midst of reading the news, he just broke the news. Actually, we are not even being paid here where we are working. So even us as police officers, we are just human beings. Others, they sought to uphold the law, but in the midst of upholding the law, they get the same gun and start using it for other things. But what is consoling, or what is important, is that we do not condone such behavior. When such a person does that, we treat him just like another criminal, because he has actually abrogated or gone against the laws of this country. So our laws, like I say, our role as police officers is to ensure that we enforce the law.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hamoonga. Let me just make this emphasis to our viewers. Our viewers, in case you have just tuned in, make sure that you leave your comment under this broadcast, and we'll be glad to read your comment and answer your questions, or have our guests respond to your questions which you are leaving right there. We'll be getting to them shortly, as well as we have shared the studio link. You can easily click on it and join us in the studio, have a one-on-one interaction with Commissioner Rae Hamoonga, who is the police spokesperson right here, who is our guest on this special interview. Mr. Hamoonga, let me come to the conduct of the police officers, or of the men in uniform. How are these people supposed to conduct themselves, especially in the public eye? Because we have heard or seen reports where people complain of police officers. We had at least about 2 or 3 incidences where police officers misbehaved. One was in the Eastern Province, and the other one, if I'm not mistaken, was in the Northern Province. How should men in uniform conduct themselves?
And just before you come in, just to add on to what Lance has asked, We have seen, especially on social media, sometimes, police officers are parading themselves and in uniform. Maybe someone saying, I'm enjoying work, and so on and so forth. Others would, be there dancing, at a party in uniform. How exactly, men in uniform supposed to conduct themselves? Are such behaviors, are permissible?
Okay, thank you very much. I think I remember the video that you are referring to, where a seemingly police officer was busy dancing. Is it Chandana K or whatever song, whatever it was? Now, that video actually was taken out of context. That is actually a small girl who is a pupil who was on Careers Day. You know, the issue of Careers Day that is happening nowadays, where some would say, I want to be a doctor. And this girl decided that I want to be a police officer. Now, when they go to school, there was this song being played, and then she took to the dance floor. So that wasn't necessarily a police officer, but that was merely a pupil that was dancing while wearing a police uniform. Now, of course, that's not to take away the question or that officers misbehave. Yes, we have officers that actually misbehave while in uniform. And I think I've remember one example. I think it was in Muchinga. Is it Muchinga? I think it was Muchinga. I think it should be Chinsali, where we had one officer who misbehaved while in uniform, and because of his conduct, he was actually tried and he was found guilty and he was dismissed. So issues of misconduct while in uniform are very serious for us. For instance, if I'm in uniform, there are certain things I'm not supposed to do because by wearing this uniform, I represent the law. So as such, I need to be overboard. Imagine that when I'm in this uniform, I can't even be eating in public. Like, even chewing a cup of maize, even if I want to eat, I'm not supposed to eat unless if I either have to take off my head and then eat, of course, in a spiritual way. So this is how we conduct ourselves as police officers. So we have a very strict code that entails us or guide us how we're supposed to conduct ourselves once you're in uniform, because like I said, we represent the law, and the law must be all the time respected by everybody. So that is that about that. So of course, what we also want to appeal is for members of the public to work hand in hand in police. Policing is like a coin, just two sides of a coin. Crime this side is police. So there's no middle ground. Like you remember when we were growing up, there was that game we used to call Bat, and in our Gava, you are this side, and no. It didn't work like that. So whatever you do, so if you didn't know, please start questioning yourself from today onwards. Your actions, do they support policing? Because policing is all about human rights. That's all. Even though people say, no, the police are doing that. No. Policing and human rights are inseparable. Why we are policing is because we want to uphold somebody's rights. So policing, please, if you didn't know from today, take it from me, that policing is all about human rights. Yes, there might be some officers that might want to abrogate human rights, but the core business of policing is about human rights.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hamoonga. I think from me, lastly, as we engage the public, we talk about the procedure of arrest for a suspect. I don't know what's the difference. I think we have seen munga ifamu makombo nife nkanya kuti ati call out stiziva badabwache bafika che iwe tabwera kukugwira. Then you go on social media to know we have summoned this one. Is there a difference on how suspects or on the procedure of arresting suspects? Kuna suspects out there for kombo ni kubwache kukugwira, then abana ndalama ati we have summoned you to police.
Okay, thank you very much. Where you commit what is called a cognizable offense. For instance, you are in public, you steal. You don't expect me to go and get a search warrant or even a call out. I just have to apprehend you there and then I take you to the police. Okay? And again, also, where somebody has lodged a complaint against you. who will come and get you. Even when we get you, we will not touch you, we'll leave you until your lawyer comes. Then we'll start interrogations or interviews, and then we arrest you. So the issue is this. If, for instance, you, Lance, you come to the police, say, Rae has assaulted me, we give you a medical report. You go to the hospital. Remember the issue of the expert witness, the doctor checks on you and certifies that you have been injured. And then we ask you, Lance, who has assaulted you? Oh, it's Rae. Why does Rae stay? Oh, he stays in Chelsea police camp. House number so and so and so. Who will come to your house? Who come and get you? If you have a lawyer, you can tell us, okay, I have a lawyer. You said, okay, fine, let's go. But as long as the offense has been established, we'll get you and take to the police. But where we send you a call out, and then you decide to disobey. Actually, a call out is a gentle way of inviting. So please come over here. In fact, when we give you a call out, we have respected you. So I've seen people who, when you send a call out, they tear them. Unfortunately, they don't know what they actually invite. They're saying, come and get me. Because a call out is a way of being formal. We are respecting you. Please come to our place of work. We have an issue with you to engage you and discuss it. So the best you can do is, when you are being called by the police to go to the police, please comply. Remember that the law provides us with authority to use minimum force if you are resisting arrest. So don't invite minimum force on yourself. If you say, let's go to the police, accompany us to the police station, get the police station, explain your issues, and then the issues can be resolved from there.
All right, Mr. Rae, we thank you so much. At this point in time, we invite messages from our viewers out there, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And as we get to wait for the director to beam, those messages, I would like to find out, because every time, Mr. Rae, we focus on what we want, to hear and what concerns us. But this one is something that concerns you as the police. What are some of the issues or challenges that are affecting you or depressing you as the police service?
Well, I think some of the issues that actually depress us as police officers is the fact that we are a profession that we are putting in so much, such that we're even ready to lay our lives for doing that, just at the expense of maintaining law and order in this country. Now, what depresses us to see somebody demean us? No, these the policemen, I don't know what they're doing. They just do that. It's not a good thing to do to our police officers. It's actually to us officers. We put in so much. Being a police officer is sort of like a calling. It's not that we are down. No, we have degrees as well. But we just chose this kind of work just to save humanity. In this, just like people who are doctors, they want to save lives of people through being a medical doctor. And even us as police officers, we just have that calling. We feel that when there's peace in the country, then we have that satisfaction. And that's what we have chosen to do. And now to be called names by people whom we guard again in the night, protect, it's not something that's very nice to hear. And actually, that actually puts our officers in a very awkward position. You see, like officers, even our traffic officers, they stand even in the rain. At times in the rain, it's raining, somebody's controlling traffic. Okay? And then somebody comes there to shout at them, what are you doing here? Move away. And this is a person who has been on that point, regulating traffic. People have passed there, and this raining is soaking on them. Like now, as I'm talking to you right away, our officers, they have left their homes, they are to invest of Zambia, just to try to bring about peace. And then tomorrow someone says police officers are corrupt. That actually demeans us very much.
All right, we do appreciate that, and it's good to get to listen to your side, so that we can also know how to talk about the police and how just to conduct ourselves as regards the police. We are waiting for messages to actually be beamed right here on our screen, so that we get to read them out. As we get to wait, I must believe there's probably a technical challenge. We give it a minute or so. and probably the IT people who get to work on that. Lance, is there anything that you've left out, a concern, question, or anything as we wait for the messages?
Wow, let me get to attend to at least one of the questions that I have seen coming through via our Facebook page. It comes from Edwin Peary. He says, congratulations, sir, on your successful duties in office. Meanwhile, I personally have noted that our forces are quite lacking in cybersecurity and IT systems dealing with crime. He goes ahead and says, uh, is the police open to partnership to better the IT systems and cyber security in Zambia so as to curb such cases as that of Pamela Chisumpa? Maybe Commissioner Hamoonga, I would like you to attend to that one. It's coming from Edwin Peary.
Okay, of course, we will not close in anybody who wants to come and on board to help us. Maybe what I can just state that if you heard me when I was just saying here that we have the accident which happened at University of Zambia on camera. We have what is called the Safe City Project, where we have installed cameras, I think in Southern, Commonwealth, and Lusaka province. Of course, it has not gone beyond that. I think even we have, Chipata, I think Eastern as well, we have some centers there. Now, well, our hands are always wide open for cooperation to assist us. And of course, in the case of Pamela Chisumpa, maybe I can just give you a bit of a background of how far we have gone. We were able to track the phones that she was using, and we were able to we actually retrieved them. Unfortunately, when we retrieved them, they were not with her, they were with other persons. So at least with the Safe City Project, it has come on board. And even like right now, we are able to watch things in real time. Okay, like in Lusaka, we're able to watch things in real time. We have a command center where we're able to monitor and see what is happening in various points of the city where we have these cameras installed. But that's not to say that we are at the level where we want to be. So if there's any help that he feels he can help us, please, is most welcome. His help is welcome, very much welcome. We can link him up with our tech personnel so they help us it can help. We'll see how far it can help us in issues of cybersecurity. But of course, we do have a cyber unit, and we are still pushing things and going forward with also the coming on board from Zicta. Zicta has been very handy and very cooperative, and we are working hand in hand with them all the time to ensure that these things are brought to a halt. In fact, we now have a national cybersecurity task force. I'm sure if you saw about 2 weeks ago, the IG did issue a statement where we apprehended persons that actually were involved in resetting, like if they steal your phone, they go and reset the PIN and withdraw your money. Unfortunately, These persons were somehow linked to an organization that was actually subcontracted by these mobile subscribers. Okay, so this issue of cyber, of course, it's a new phenomenon in our country, but we are so far getting somewhere. It's not out of control yet. We're able to manage it and able to apprehend these persons. And just actually again in the other week, we did apprehend some persons again from Choma. I think by tomorrow you just check on the page. I'll be issuing a statement relating to that, where we are apprehending some persons that actually were also involved in a similar fashion where they steal cell phones and then they reset the pins and then be able to withdraw the money. So we are not that much behind. At least we are trying to catch up with them.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hamoonga. Like Chaza had put it, we seem to have a technical challenge in bringing the questions on the screen, but I'll be able to help in terms of reading them out. Okay, we seem to have them now on the screen. And this one is coming from Ribat. He says, what is it that the police service is doing to live in harmony with the citizens? The motto of police is your friend. All right, Ribat, thank you so much. The question will be attended to. If we can go to another question that has come through. Derek Singela says Zambians are now on their own as thieves are openly stealing from citizens at Kafue Road footbridge. Is it fair that alcohol is sold on the island of Freedom Way, especially at former Stanley Bar? Thank you so much, Derek, for that question. And Mulungu Jerome says, before you were transferred, you had notified the nation that Zambian police has identified the mastermind of gassing. What's the update on gassing? Interesting question right there coming through. Let's get to read two more so that we can be attending to them at least in batches. We have already read this one. Let's quickly move to the other one. Director, let's move to the other one. We read this one. All right, so Williams says, evening Rae, nice to see you back. My question is, what does the law say when a person who is a danger to society is arrested? The police officer was shooting at the mayor. He was arrested and given a bond. Surely he is a danger to the public. Can you please help us understand what cases are not bondable or bailable? All right, Williams, thank you so much. Let's read one last more and then get to attend to the first batch of questions that have come through. Director, if we can get to the other messages. All right, so Singela comes back and says, is Zambia police force going to send spies at the forthcoming Oktoberfest or beer and food festival in Lusaka? All right, thank you so much, Singela. Obviously, this is in relation with the Lusaka July, the issue that came out from there. Commissioner Hamoonga, let's get to attend to this batch, as when we come back on the other side, we get to attend to people that are in the studio as well as other messages that have come through.
Okay, thank you very much. What is the Zambia Police Service doing to living with persons or citizens in harmony? Now, this question is two facets. If you get to a criminal and you ask them about the police, they will speak so evil or so bad about the police, for the simple reason that because the police is disturbing their business. Now, let me make this thing very clear. As Zambia police, most of these cases that you see us succeeding in prosecuting persons, it's not that because we are that intelligent or that maybe we are sorcerers. No, it's because members of the public are giving us that information. Believe you, whether they like it or not, some people just volunteer. They tell us, sir, this happened in this area. Please go there. This is what has kept us going. And this is what we keep on building upon, calling on members of the public, please, let's work together. You can imagine if now it's 22 hours, we are talking here for the sake of trying to woo the masses to come on board and help us as a police service. Because, people feel that the police is a separate entity, and yet it's their own entity. Do you know that we do not exist on our own? We exist because of the masses. So if the police is failing, then the masses are failing. Because the police is the masses institution. We have laws that we have agreed to live with in our country, and because of the laws that we have agreed to live with as a nation, as a society, we as police officers are supposed to enforce those laws so that we live in the society that we have agreed according to our laws. So the police is there to ensure that there's law and order in our republic according to the laws that we, the Zambian people, have agreed to live with. Then Kafue footbridge, Zambians are now on their own. Not at all. Brother Singela, we are with you. The mere fact that you are talking where you are now freely is because police officers are patrolling whom we cannot see because you are sleeping. We are there to ensure that you, the Zambian people, are free and be able to live well. However, in situations where there are things that you feel are not doing, please feel free to walk to the nearest police station which is near your place and bring your concerns to the police officers or even the officer in charge, so that those things can be put properly or sorted out. The issue of mastermind of gassing, the case of gassing, the Inspector General of Police did issue a statement recently, if you remember, on the Copper Belt, when he paid a courtesy call at the Minister of the Copper Belt Minister, Mr. Honorable Elisha Matambo. He posed the same question, and the Inspector General of Police made it very clear that there's a team that has been constituted, and files are being called from all over the country to analyze the reports and then see the way forward. And he did put it very clear that that case cannot just die a natural death like that. And also, maybe just to add on that, if there are members of the public that may have information relating to these cases, they are free to come to our police stations or police headquarters and give that information that may be of relevance. Remember what I said earlier on, we rely mostly also on the members of the public. So if there are members of the public that have that information, if you know that this person was involved in this crime, and you know you have tangible evidence, or even you know something, you can come to the police, give us that information. We are going to process it ourselves as police to ensure that this person that could have been behind this crime can be brought to book. Then not bondable and not okay. Of course, the issue of not bondable and not bearable offenses is a whole range of offenses. But of course, just to make it very clear, cases that attract which we call a felon or a misdemeanor. The felonies, these are cases that attract a high sentence. Okay, 3 years and above. I think my memory serves me right. So if a case is a bondable offense, you can be given a bond. If it's non-bailable, you cannot be given a bail. So if you kill somebody, don't expect that you are going to be given a bail. No, not at all. You go in there, tried, not until you are exonerated or found innocent. That's what you can come out of there.
All right. Thank you so much for
I think
that.
the last one was that October Festive, whatever they call them. What is this October Festive? Of course, as police, we do take in interest in anything that happens. We have our police officers. Even where you think we are not there, we are always there to ensure that we look at the crimes that are committed. The only problem is people at times want to use morals. Okay, they want to use morals for us to prosecute somebody. No, we don't do that. Like I had said earlier on, you see an old man coming out of the house with a young girl, the whole compound is up in arms. No, he has devoured the child. No. We don't do that. We have to have empirical evidence, actual evidence. By the way, I've always actually said this. You know the definition of evidence? It says all legal means exclusive of mere argument that tend to prove or disprove any matter of fact that is submitted for judicial investigations. So you can hear from the definition of evidence. It's not just this mere talk where you just see somebody with a dress. No, this one is no. Somebody has to be examined by a medical doctor to certify that yes, this person has done this. But not mere is putting a lipstick and wearing a dress, then someone should be apprehended. What evidence are going to produce before the courts of law? Because the issue is, it's not about the lipstick and the dress. It's about unnatural sex. Okay? A natural offense. So that is the question there. It's not about the attire. No. The offense there is unnatural sex or having sex against the order of nature.
I have seen the police, coming up with an offense as long as they want to get you. When they come up with an offense of, say, conduct, I've heard something like that before.
No, conduct is when you conduct yourself in a manner that that conduct like to cause a breach of the peace. So when you conduct yourself in a manner that will breach the peace, it will breach the peace. Okay. For instance, if you behave in a manner that, like for instance, it's a whole range of offenses. Actually, say maybe you start insulting in public. Okay, you're not insulting anybody, but you're just insulting, because you see, use of insulting language as well is an offense on its own. But again, you just behave in a manner that you can cause the breach of the peace. Like people start even rioting or whatever. So we'll get you yourself who's trying to cause that problem, and then give you the right charge, which is conduct like to cause the breach of peace.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hamoonga. Let's get to continue engaging the people. In the studio, we have Pesi and T. Our viewers, remember that as you join in the studio, please switch on your cameras. As you join in the studio, switch on your cameras so that we can have an easy engagement. Let's get to see if we can have Pesi, and then he get to ask a question, express a view, or as well as express his concern, and then we can also have T right here in the studio. Director, can we have Pesi in the studio? And of course, we still continue engaging you, our viewers. Please come through into the studio. We have shared a link with you. Pesi, good evening. How are you doing today?
Today I'm fine. I hope everyone is fine, and I hope Mr. Hamoonga is doing great.
All right, so you have 90 seconds to ask your question.
But you have to forgive me, the presenter, because what I want to tell him about my experience I had with the police in August. And the first one, I booked a taxi. Yes, the taxi had a cracked window. We were stopped, and all they wanted was money. They confiscated his driving license so that he can just go and drop me, then come back. Because he didn't have money then. He was waiting for me to pay my fare when he dropped me. And then the second one, on that one, the vehicle I was in, these younger vehicles, the person didn't insure her vehicle. As you know, as a passenger, you don't know. You just book and jump in. So when we reached Manda Hill, on the traffic lights, you've got some police officers who stand right at the back there. Behind us, there was a Mercedes Benz. And we were in the wrong lane. So he had to move to the correct lane so that we can go where we're going. So basically, the driver was breaking the law, including the Nomusongo. And then the same thing was happening with the vehicle behind us, which was a Mercedes Benz. Then everything was fine, but they broke the same rule we broke by doing what we did. So when we went, both cars were stopped. But okay, ours, it was, she had to produce her certificates and all that for that she's paid the thing. But to my surprise, the woman from the Mercedes Benz just came out from her Mercedes Benz, spoke a bit, went back to a Mercedes Benz, came.
All right, we seem to have internet issues with Pesi there. Director, as Pesi tries to reconnect.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Now, back. Yes, now we can get you.
Oh, sorry about that. I could see that the lady, when she came back from the Mercedes Benz, she's giving the money, because while we were parked, we had a great view of what was happening. So they left. A couple of days later, I went to Manda Hill. I went to the police post you have there. I went in. I asked to talk to the officer in charge. I was lucky enough, she didn't have anybody, or she wasn't that busy. They allowed me to see her. When I sat with her, when I told her what I saw, I told her that I could see that your police officers were getting money without a receipt right there on your thing 3 days ago. The first thing she came to ask me was, then why don't you bring the evidence? I said, so myself, I'm telling you, and your office, have you seen your window right there? Because her window is direct on what was happening. She could see if she was seated there. where I was seated. That's the answer I gave her. I said, Madam, how do you expect me to give you the evidence when I'm just telling you what I saw? So it's up to you to sit where I'm seated. You can observe. Definitely, you always have police officers standing there. You will see them doing it. I even told her that I introduced myself as somebody from Ubuntu channel. And I also told her that, actually, I thought even name dropping your name, Mr. Hamoonga, that Mr. Hamoonga comes to our channel most of the time. I thought she would say, okay, we'll deal with it. No, she didn't even say she would deal with it. Or she said, give me the evidence, then I can deal with it. So what do you say
Percy,
with your officer in charge, such type of officer in charge you have? So I would like your comment on that.
Thank you.
All right, Percy, thank you so much. Director, let's also get to accommodate the other person that's in the studio. And then after that, we get to engage our studio guest to respond. T, remember that as you come on, switch on your camera so that we can best engage each other as you come through into the studio. Director, do we still have T in the studio? All right. It seems like we still have connectivity issues. Mr. Hamoonga, I don't know if you are okay. I can read at least 3 more comments that have come through, and then you respond to all the questions in a batch. Okay. Let me get to the comments. So in the comments box, we have one coming through from Auxilia Mwanza. She says, we have seen an increase in the number of police officers or men in uniform who have taken a wrong decision and commit crimes of passion and later kill themselves. What action are you taking? And then she continues to say, and do officers go through mental assessment or regular mental health support services? How do you plan to address this growing challenge? All right, thank you so much, Auxilia. We can go to the last message so that we can have our studio guest attend to at least this other batch of questions that have come through. Director, let's go to another message that has come through. Okay, so Derek Sinjela comes back and says, what is your reaction to a prediction by Zambian Development Media Alliance, ZADEMA, that high poverty, high income inequality, and high unemployment will invariably heighten crime in Zambia? All right, thank you so much, Derek. Commissioner Hamoonga, all right, let me read the last one and then you come through. This one comes from Musonda. He says, Zambia police should take a deliberate policy to investigate these police officers. It doesn't sit well with me for the public to corrupt an officer who is supposed to be the enforcer of the law. Arrest the public for corrupting an officer and the public will learn something. Thank you so much, Musonda. Commissioner Hamoonga, you can attend to these batch of questions.
Okay, thank you very much. The issue first, let me start with Percy, where he's saying that he had booked a taxi and then they got his license because they had a cracked screen. Now, of course, the right way of doing these things, that once you have an offense like that one, you are given a charge sheet and your details are taken note of, and you are given 7 days in which to pay. But of course, it's not all offenses that you can be treated in that manner. For instance, if we found you driving a motor vehicle without a license, we have to impound that motor vehicle because you are not supposed to be driving a motor vehicle without a license. Okay, that means you are an unlicensed driver. So that is about that. Then also the issue of an insured motor vehicle and also the Mercedes-Benz incident. That was a very unfortunate situation. However, again, also the issue of the time of lapse is very important because, you know, I know Percy meant very well to say what he was saying, that he saw this, but we have had cases where people just maliciously accuse an officer. You remember like that time in the previous regime where somebody was saying, such kind of things. You remember that story I'm referring to. I hope you remember when someone was showing a video that the officer was insulting the former head of state that was in the previous regime. Now, of course, when you are making an allegation, it's important that it's reported promptly so that it can be dealt with. Yes, at times when an officer is engaging you, us as law enforcers, at times we engage you to see whether what you are saying, you really mean what you're saying. We have an intrusive mind. We are always used to extract information from something. We don't just take things from the first time that you bring it onto us. So we'll try to ask you one or two questions to see whether what you are saying is actually the truth, or you mean what you're saying. So this is a very unfortunate incident, but however, I'll try to make I'll actually not try. I'm going to make a follow-up on it. I'll ask them that there's somebody who came here to lodge a complaint. How did you handle it like that? Because it's not. I think the way you handled it wasn't right. What you should have done maybe is to call the officers that were involved, since you are there yourself, Mr. Percy, and to ask them in your face, say, this person is alleging that you did this. What do you have to say about this? And then it would have been resolved. Maybe the officer would have learned something to, we are also being monitored all the time. Okay. And of course, it's not that all officers that watch channels like Ubuntu, they don't even know, others don't even understand what we're talking about. Because, for instance, for me to be in this office, I have to undergo a certain training. Though I'm already, first of all, I'm a police officer, but I have to undergo some training. Like, for instance, some background in public relations, I have to do a course, and that's why I'm in this office. So at least I'm able to understand the media aspect of it and also the police itself. So that is about the matter here. I promised to make a follow-up. I'll find out why did she behave like that. I think it was not right in my opinion. She could have had an opportunity to address that issue. Could have called the officers and even yourself and then resolve that issue. I've seen some increase of police officers killing themselves, but of course, people do commit suicide. Like I remember what I said, people commit suicide, and suicide is not an offense. But of course, when suicide is committed by a police officer, it hits headlines. Okay, it's unfortunate, of course, this is happening, but like I said earlier on, our chaplains unit does do this, it does conduct counseling and spiritual guidance to these officers, even our victim support unit. And we still call upon you, the general public, that may have that expertise, that may help to counsel our officers. Do they go through mental checkup? Of course, yes, we do have parades. Like for instance, when the officers report for work, when for a shift, we parade them, we check on them, we say right turn, you see everybody turning right, left turn, everybody turning left. If you say right turn, someone goes to the left, I will ask him, what's your problem? Are you okay? You see, that kind of thing, we do have them because, and of course, even when you are seated, it's not that every police officer has a gun all the time. No, guns are kept somewhere and officers are issued to firearms. And when they're issued to firearms, once in a while, when they go for work, they knock off, they have to return back those firearms. Then high rate of crime or poverty. Yes, of course. Crime is synonymous to poverty. Where there's high poverty, you expect to have a lot of crime. And even the indifference in manners, of course, yes, where there's a high income and then you have low income society. Even when you have homes compounds which are near to well-to-do people, there's a lot of crime definitely there because people want to get the resources that they are seeing or which they are lacking. So what is important for us is to ensure that we work together with the police. Let's help the police, because the police is there to ensure that there's safety and there's law and order throughout the Republic. The last one was what was the last question? Just remind me. I think you cut me short.
Okay.
Last question. So some do arrest the what?
I'm trying to see. Okay, so the last question was from Musonda, which said Zambia police should take a deliberate policy to investigate these police officers. It doesn't sit well with me.
Okay, I remember it. Okay, I remember it. Yeah, yes, the issue of corrupt officers that are within our service. Of course, like we said, we will not take these things very lightly, and even the Anti-Corruption Commission, whenever there's somebody who's being investigated for corruption, we do not interfere. We actually support the Anti-Corruption Commission to ensure that such a person is prosecuted and taken to court, and then, if possible, is even given a custodial sentence. And we've had cases where some officers have been actually apprehended, and we have supported the Anti-Corruption Commission to ensure that it gets rid of these bad elements. We do not need them even ourselves because they give us a headache. And of course, maybe you're also aware that there's also the Public Complaint Authority, which actually looks into the complaints against the police officers. Of course, the name is Police Public Complaint Authority. People think that maybe it's under the Zambia Police. No, it's actually a separate entity. And I think for this, we have the second former Inspector General of Police to head it. The last time we had the chairperson for this commission was when Mr. Francis Njov was the former Inspector General of Police, was heading it. Right now, we have a very seasoned former Inspector General of Police, Mr. Zunga Sakalima, who is the chairperson of the Police Public Complaint Authority. He was 2 times Inspector General of Police, and now he's heading that commission. So members of the public should be assured that actually you have a commission that is going to look into issues. So if you have any complaint against us, the commission is there to look into those complaints. And that commission is not part of the police. No, it's a separate body. It's like our watchdog. So members of the public should feel free to visit that commission and lodge the complaint. And then if I am found wanting as a police officer, I can be summoned for that commission and made to account for my actions in whatever situation that might have occurred against members of the public.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Hamoonga. Let's get the last set of questions or messages that have come through. And then now, after your response, we get to wind down the program. First of all, let's get to engage Edwin. Edwin, good evening and welcome to.
Good evening to you, Mr. Lance, and good evening to Commissioner Rae Hamoonga, and as well as Mr. Chaza. So actually, my question is much on emergency lines, because of late, just like you can see, I'm actually at the office right now. I knock off at somewhere 1:30 to 2 in the morning, and on my way actually we meet a lot of accidents at times. And just like yesterday, not yesterday but just the other week, there was an accident as well. But and at times we get so fortunate to reach at the accident scene that we can help, but then none of us has ever known what police number to call for emergency. I've been told that others have known one, but they have not been successful in terms of reaching the police or emergency department. So I actually, with my concerned team, would actually be happy to get that number and actually reach out to the police, because this matter would really help the road users, especially for me or some other people who also move in the night, like I do when knocking off.
Thank you so much, Edwin, for your question. Wellens, good evening. Kindly, if you can, switch on your camera for better engagement.
Hello, Lance. Am I clear?
Yes, you are very clear. Good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. Good evening, all of you. Hi, Ray. I just wanted to find out. I know I wrote on the message, but my question wasn't answered properly. I want to find out, is attempted murder bailable or bonded? Do you bond the attempted murder? That's my first question. If you could answer that for me. And secondly, it's just really it's not a question; it's a statement which we need to sensitize as community. I think I followed you very well. I think as society, we need to report cases. If we find a case where a police officer is wanting to corrupt or something, we need to report it. This time we have a lot of technologies. We can even record our discussion with a police officer without anyone knowing on our mobile phones. But we need to, it's us actually, because I remember when I was going to Copperbelt when I was in Zambia one time, it's us because we are rushing. We don't want to waste time or to go to the office to pay, to the office to do that. We want to actually just, shut the police office and say, no, can you just help me get this? I want to go. But it's actually the public which is attempting the police officers actually to be corrupt. But always we will rush it to say police officers are corrupted. Police officers are corrupted. But it's not really in a lot of circumstances. It's us who is actually requesting to say, please, I'll give you this, release me. I don't want to go to the headquarters to pay to go and pay for this case. Just get this, I want to go. But I think we have, as a community, as a society, we need to learn. We need to be to be patient and do the right thing. And once we start doing the right thing, we are going to see that our police officers actually, they follow the law. But as Rae said, that we are human beings. Police officers are human beings. If I go there, I say, well, I have 10,000. Can you just have this, and then I'll go. And he's a human being. No one is under the tree. Who get it? You decide to get or not to get, but depending who you are dealing with. So I think it's a society really that we are living in. We need to be proactive and be aware of the right things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wellens. Commissioner, let me just read two more messages and then we call it a wrap, as you are responding to the last batch of these questions. Director, if we can have two more messages on the screen so that we get our studio guests to attend to them. If not, let me quickly help. The first question obviously comes through from, again, this is Auxilia Mwanza, who says, still on Pamela's case, why is it that the boyfriend has always been the one contacted instead of the family? Isn't that a reason to worry the police? Because it sounds shady from a personal observation. All right, great concern coming through from there. Let's get to read one last message, and then we get our guests to respond to the questions. One last question, Director. Okay, let's see if I can find one. Okay. All right, so this one comes from Amanda Montanga. She says, how come it's really hard to find a missing person in Zambia, like in the case of Pamela? Can't the Shushushu go into the field and look for perpetrators like they did way back when there was a lot of supposed ritual killings going on? Thank you so much, Amanda. Commissioner Hamoonga, these are the last questions that we have for you, as we have to allow you rest. You can attend to them.
Thank you very much. Let me start with Edwin. Edwin was concerned about the emergency numbers. Now, emergency numbers are there, except that, the way they are set up is not a good setup. And unfortunately, members of the public have been so quiet about it. You can own a cell phone. You are subscribed to this mobile subscriber. You cannot even access a police emergency line. People also need to stand up for their rights. It's important that these mobile subscribers should be taken to task. they should be able to provide at least an emergency number. I don't think there's any point of view having a mobile number, a mobile phone in your house, and then you're under attack, you cannot reach the police. So the number that you should dial to, we have the number that we use during even elections still operational, 9010. If you call 9010, it will be able to reach our emergency office, operation offices, and also the 991. Now, the challenge we have with these lines is that even like I'm talking now, somebody's already dialing to say, let me see if it's working. So please, when we give you these numbers, they are working, and please do not just use them anyhow. Let's use them when we're really in their need of police. Because we have seen people who tell these numbers, no, I wanted to see if it's working. No, please. When we say this number is working, it's working. Leave it for people that are in trouble, that need this service. Don't start trying it to say, let me try if it's working. No, because by so doing, you're congesting it, and somebody who needs the service wants to call it, and it's going to be complaining that this number is not working. So that is about the emergency lines. And of course, let's just have a rapport. If you are living in a local, in a locality, get to know if the number of the officer in charge, or any number which they use in that locality. Or you can even donate a phone. You can even buy a cell phone, 200 kwacha, with a SIM card for five kwacha. You just go to the officer in charge. Officer in charge, please, I want this phone to be used within this neighborhood that we are living in our locality. Please, let's have this number. It can help. Just a simple 200 kwacha phone you donate to the police station, local police station. They can be using it when there's an emergency as a community. You call it. And also the issue of formation of neighborhood watch. Neighborhood watch doesn't mean that if you're in a neighborhood, then you're operating or patrolling every day. No. Maybe it can even be once in a month, or maybe even sometimes maybe twice. So once you have a neighborhood watch, what that does actually is that the criminals know that you are organized in that locality. They will not come in that area. Because they know there's no boy, they will not come in that area. They know that people here are organized, and we'll just give you 1 or 2 police officers to help you do the patrols. Okay, so we need to come together. It's a concerted effort. It's not just a police effort. This is for everybody. Crime is about everybody. Don't wait to become a victim of crime for you to come and jump on board and start fighting crime.
Chaza, you are on mute.
You're on mute.
My apologies there. Mr. Rae Hamoonga, thank you so much. It's been an interview that was intended to be short, but we were quite overwhelmed with questions. Every time we host you, we have so many questions to ask about the police and for the police. We greatly appreciate your time, and I can tell by your eyes that you really need to rest.
Yes, let me just finalize I left 3 more questions. Let me just wind them up. The issue
please do.
Attempted murder, is it available? Yes, it is a bailable offense. So please, in as much as you have the right to complain, even the accused has some rights that are reserved for him or her. So the issue of attempted murder is a bailable offense. It is. And then still on Pamela's case, why is the boyfriend only being contacted? Of course, we will not start divulging these things on the on this forum. We will never know, even the people that are holding Pamela could be watching. But however, for fear of jeopardizing investigations, we will not tell you that. I'm sure we're getting there very soon. Once the case is concluded, we'll be able to issue a statement, and we'll tell you understand why. By then, why this will happen like that. And then they're saying, how come is it difficult to find a missing person? No, I think for Pamela, it's not a question of missing. Somebody who's missing is that somebody you don't know, is nowhere to be seen. But for Pamela, she's somewhere. Because like you have said, we have these contacts that it means she's somewhere. So she's not necessarily missing. When somebody is missing, somebody you have no clue whatsoever, you have not heard from such a person, that person can be regarded to be missing. But in the case of Pamela, she's not missing, because like you have heard, we have contact with her. So she means she's just somewhere. And it's a question of just getting her where she is. So she's not necessarily missing, but she's there. So those are things that I should just clarify, because I think the last question which I wanted actually to respond to.
Okay, Mr. Rae Hamoonga, you've been so great to us. We really appreciate, and every time that we have their need to talk to the police and get to find out from the police, you are always there, and you do not let us down. We greatly appreciate. We don't take that for granted. Thank you so much for even coming to this program once again. We do appreciate.
Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you so much. Not forgetting my co-host Lance. I do appreciate your presence also. This is a great show because of you. Not forgetting the participants out there, the viewers and the listeners. We greatly appreciate your time on the program, and of course our IT team. Despite these technical challenges that we do have, you are always there, and we really do appreciate. Till next time. Tomorrow we do have another interview on Meet Your Leaders. Join us. And for now we are saying peace. God bless you all. Until then, we are out of here.